Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another episode of News Dose, where I give you all of the latest gaming news. And Nintendo finally broke their silence by making some huge announcements today. And Nintendo fans, you definitely have some stuff to look forward to now. With that said, they also made several strange decisions, so we're going to go over all that in just a bit. Also, we got a nice update for an Xbox Game Pass game that certainly shows its expanding success. Before we get into all that though, as usual, let's go over some of the quick news first, and today I want to start this one off with Battletoads. So Battletoads is probably one of my favorite games of this entire year, right up there with the Final Fantasy VII Remake and Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I absolutely love this game, and I will even say I think it's one of the best beat-em-up games I've ever played, so yeah, I like this game a lot, and I would highly recommend it. With that said though, Delilah Studios has been responding to people on Twitter with a very interesting hashtag, Season2Win. Now I'm just speculating here, but that almost sounds like Delilah Studios is teasing a Season 2 of Battletoads. Again, this is just speculation, and maybe I'm looking too far into this, but I do hope we get more Battletoads from them. I think this game is better than the originals, it's very challenging on hard difficulty, and it's just a lot of fun. If anything, I don't want to wait another 26 years to play another Battletoads game, so hey, I think Xbox should go ahead and let them make another game, or season as they're tweeting. I'm certainly all in for that, but I will ask you, would you like to see another Battletoads game from Delilah Studios? If you do, go let Delilah Studios and Phil Spencer know that we want more Battletoads. Moving on though, one interesting trend that's been happening in recent years is that we are seeing a lot of remakes, and in many cases, they have been some of the most successful games. While Tony Hawk 1 and 2 will be added to that list as it's receiving great reviews and currently sits at an 88 overall score on Metacritic as of the recording of this video. Now I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty surprised that Activision decided to remake these games in specific, but I did play them when I was a kid, and they're super fun games, and it looks like the gameplay still holds up very well today. I'm really liking this trend though because we're seeing some of the best games ever come back, so not only old fans can come back and enjoy them once again with better visuals, mechanics, and new additions, but it also allows these new players to see why fans love these games so much in the first place. These games are now getting whole new fans, and that brings me a lot of joy. Some of my favorite games are from the 90s and early 2000s, but yeah, games like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Final Fantasy VII, Resident Evil, and now Tony Hawk are all making a comeback in just a few years' time, which is great in my opinion. Now, if only we could somehow convince Microsoft to do a Banjo 1 and 2 remake. I mean, come on, this is an absolute no-brainer, so I really don't know how we have not gotten this yet, but it is what it is. Nonetheless though, the Tony Hawk remakes are sounding pretty good, so you might want to go check that out. Now also, do you remember that Square Enix game that was revealed at the PlayStation 5 conference, Project Athia? Yeah, we still don't really have that many details on this game, other than it is made by the developers behind Final Fantasy XV, Luminous Studio, and that it's a timed PlayStation 5 console exclusive. However, we did get some new details on Project Athia that is very exciting for developers. So they showed off a very impressive demo of the Luminous Engine World Editor. So check this out. Their goal here is to allow this engine to auto-generate a world that is filled in a natural yet intentional way. So it's basically procedurally generated, and it's being used in Project Athia. Now, based off of the demo shown for this engine, it's very impressive, and Luminous Engine is capable of very gorgeous landscapes. With that said, I'm not entirely sure if they're going to open this engine up to allow the public to use it, or if they're going to license it out like Unreal Engine, or maybe they do something similar to what EA does with the CryEngine, where a lot of developers within EA uses them, but instead of course this would be a Square Enix engine. Either way, I thought it was impressive enough at the very least to talk about, because it would be very interesting if they did in fact open up the engine for other developers to use. It looks pretty easy to use and could help out with big open world games, and yeah, it seems like everybody is making big open world games anyways, so this may be a nice way to develop a game for next generation consoles. And speaking of next generation, we got a nice little update for Dead by Daylight. The popular survival horror multiplayer game will continue onto next generation with free upgrades that allows 4K resolution and 60 frames per second. This includes the Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, and the PC. In fact, the developers aren't stopping there because their goal is to more or less make this a remaster that includes better animations, lighting, visual effects, modeling, and textures. So if you are a fan of this game, don't worry because you are getting a nice free upgrade for next generation. And I have to say, I really like that some developers are giving these upgrades away for free. Unfortunately, games like Call of Duty and Control missed the mark here, but we are seeing other games take advantage of this, and it's just very pro-consumer. Let's talk about Xbox Game Pass for a moment though, because we got a very interesting update today that shows its expanding success. So Flight Simulator released just a few weeks ago, and of course it was very well received. And I kept saying this, but I don't really think that fans realize just how popular Flight Simulator actually is, especially on PC. The same really goes for Age of Empires, where I think a lot of console players don't realize how popular these games actually are on PC, and they do have very big fan bases. Well, Flight Simulator already has over 1 million players, and it's the biggest launch in Xbox Game Pass for PC to date. Now, this is the exact reason why Microsoft has been expanding to PC, and it shows what kind of success they can have. I mean, if you really just look at just the last couple months, Flight Simulator, Grounded, Sea of Thieves, and Halo the Master Chief Collection have all done very well on PC, and are often in the best-selling Steam games for that matter. So there is always that question on whether or not Xbox should support PC, but we are seeing that both have different fans, and they can have a lot of success on console as well as PC. As an example with Sea of Thieves, which had already reached millions of players on console, when it did finally release to Steam years later, it sold another million copies. So we are starting to see why Microsoft puts their games on PC, and we are also seeing Xbox Game Pass grow on PC. That is vital as well. Microsoft really wants Xbox Game Pass to succeed everywhere, and whether you play on console, PC, or phones, they just want you in that ecosystem. With that said, I do know some fans are still waiting for the Xbox version of Flight Simulator, and don't worry because it has already been confirmed for the Xbox Series X, and that's going to make this launch even more impressive. Just think, it's already reached more than 1 million players in about 2 weeks on PC, and it hasn't even launched on Xbox yet, so that's going to get a lot bigger. Either way, big congrats to Asobo and Xbox on their successful launch. Truly, this game is both impressive as well as being fantastic. Now onto that Nintendo news because they broke their silence finally in a major way with a big announcement. This morning they posted a 35th Mario Anniversary Direct that was roughly 16 minutes long, and we've been talking about this for a while on the channel. This was not the most surprising news, but they finally revealed that several Mario Remastered games will be heading to the Nintendo Switch, and yeah, there is a lot to go over here. There will be plenty of new merchandise including some interesting Mario Kart toys, 3D Mario World amiibo, and even some Mario shoes. But this is a gaming channel, so let's focus on the games first and foremost. They announced 2 different collections, Super Mario All-Stars, which is a 4-in-1 compilation of the old classic 2D Mario games. This includes Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, 3, and The Lost Levels, which was the original Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2 that never released to the United States. Here's the cool thing though, this will be included in Nintendo Switch Online and is available today. Now Nintendo is giving us a real reason to invest in Nintendo Online, which is pretty cheap compared to its competitors. So if you have Nintendo Switch Online, you can go play that right now. Speaking of Nintendo Online, the Battle Royale craze has also taken over the Mario world with Mario 35. This is an interesting twist on the genre though, where it basically takes the classic Super Mario Bros. Games and has you battle it out until you're the last Mario standing. Basically, if you beat an enemy, it'll get sent to your opponents to make their game more difficult, and vice versa. But I think this actually sounds like a lot of fun. It's also going to be on Nintendo Switch Online, so I'll at least try it for myself. As for the other collection though, which is the one that's going to attract the most attention, is Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which includes Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy. Now before I say anything, this is an incredible collection of Mario games, which to this day are among the best 3D platformers ever made. With that said, Nintendo per usual is doing some very weird things with this game that only Nintendo can do. Okay, so I don't know if I've ever seen a game of this magnitude do a release like this, but this will be a limited time release. So it will be available starting September 18th, which is pretty awesome. You don't have to wait very long to play this collection, but it will no longer be available after March of 2021. Yeah, I don't get that at all. I mean, it's supposed to be like some big event, but to just stop selling it after March doesn't really make much sense to me. And yes, that does include the digital version. I guess they're just going to take it off the eShop come March of 2021, so you better buy this one now and don't hold off on it. It's just unfortunate for fans who buy a Switch after March of next year, because unless they buy it secondhand, they're never going to get the chance to get this collection. With that said, I do imagine this game is going to sell very well this holiday, because if you don't buy it now, you just don't buy it at all. It's actually a brilliant marketing move if you think about it, but I really hope nobody else does something like this. I can only imagine Xbox doing something like this because they would have probably been crucified for this. Another bizarre choice here though was that for whatever reason, the collection is missing Mario Galaxy 2. I mean, every other 3D Mario game gets released for the Switch, but I guess Nintendo didn't feel like bringing over Mario Galaxy 2. I guess we can look forward to a separate $60 remaster for that one, but overall this is still a great holiday collection, and I've already pre-ordered it myself. Now there was one last game, which technically is probably the biggest release here, though you will be waiting a bit longer. They did reveal 3D Mario World plus Bowser's Fury for February 12th, 2021, which is a remaster of the Wii U 3D Mario World with bonus content. Now they didn't really give much detail on this Bowser's Fury part, but it looks like this might be a nice expansion here. This isn't the first time Nintendo has done this either, because they did do this with Super Luigi Bros. Deluxe, where it added a lot of content to the original game, but this is certainly a good reason to go back to 3D Mario World if you have already played it. And that's something else. Nintendo has pretty much ported most of their Wii U games to the Switch now. Hey, maybe we can get the rest with Twilight Princess and Wind Waker with a Zelda 35th anniversary next year. And hey, let's bring over Xenoblade X and Star Fox Zero. Just saying. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.